Hey everybody, and welcome to Being Becca Live. Being Becca Live is like our little meeting time where we get together to chit chat about what it's like to be an autistic adult alive right now, what the challenges are, and how we're kind of muddling through the whole thing right now, and not when research catches up. So that's what we're up to. That was a cat that just left. And that's what we're going to do a little bit more of today. So I hope you guys are excited about it. Before I get into today's topic, I just want to say a couple of reminders at front, and I'll probably repeat them again at the end. So, hey, Bernardi, CV. So, this past week we did, or not this past week we did the June seminar, the June Self-Defined Living seminar, which was Decision Making Decoded. There were some tech troubles, but we eventually got through it. And the recording is now up on my website for purchase. So you can go ahead and watch it if you missed it and kind of catch up on it, or any of the other recordings from April or May. We did 2 in April, I did 1 in May. And what I wanted to let you know is, so yes, all of those recordings are up. You can watch any of those. We did masking, I did disclosure. I don't remember what else I did, you guys. I can't remember them right now, but they're up there. And so you can definitely get to those, BeccaLory.com. The link is, of course, in the description as always. Hey, Brunette. And let's see, what else? And the Self-Defined Living course itself, of course, is up right now. The recorded version, you can purchase it right now. But this is my reminder to you that I am going to be running a live version. I'm going to be doing a live cohort of Self-Defined Living beginning in September. That is when the next course will begin. So if you are interested in being in that course and you would like to be on the wait list to guarantee yourself a seat, that would be fantastic if you emailed me to let me know. I'd be happy to do that and put you on the wait list. And of course, as you know, there are limited scholarships that will be available, and I will be asking for sponsorships at that time. So if you are someone in financial need and you need some help but really want to take the course, please let me know that also in your email so that I can put you on the wait list for a scholarship. Again, my email is info@BeccaLory.com, or you can head over to the website itself and use the contact page. Either way, it comes right to me, and I'll be able to take care of that for you guys. So that's kind of what's going on. That was just, I know I had to say it. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I know I had to say it, and I knew I wouldn't necessarily remember at the end, and so I wanted to make sure to get that out there, because I just had someone ask about it again today, and I want to get people on the wait list so that in September we can just, maybe we'll have the whole course ready, and I don't even have to advertise it. We'll just start. We'll see. Anyway, so get yourself on that wait list, scholarship list if you need it. And don't forget to spend some time doing the seminars, because I am taking off July and August for the, and not doing, I'm taking off July and August. I'm not doing this month or next month the seminar, but they will return in September. So that gives you 2 months to catch up on the ones you've missed. And then you can join me again in September. So that is that. If you are a newsletter subscriber and you are currently watching, I apologize. I realize the newsletter is late. I also had to deal with our federal holiday here, and so I was kind of trying to figure out when to get it out and all of this stuff. So I'm going to do my best to get it done today, and I will hopefully have it out to you by the end of this week. Apologies, but spoons aren't infinite. And so I could only do so much. I have some of it done, and I have a topic and all of that stuff, but I wanted to let you guys know that I'm aware that it is late, but I am doing my best. So that's that. Okay, on to the topic. Let's talk about something for real. I have the biggest itch on my nose right now, and I just have to take care of it, and one on my eye that I have to take care of, and then I can talk. Okay, so here's the deal. Hi, Bill. So let's talk about this thing that I struggled with this week. I really I don't know how to kind of introduce it, so I'm just going to say it. So if you don't know me, if you don't follow me regularly, not only do I have autism, but I am also somebody who struggles with major anxiety and major depressive disorder. They are both a ton of fun. But what I wanted to talk about today is that, I do a lot of shit to take care of myself. It's something that I never did until my diagnosis. And it's something that is a way huge, like number one priority in my life right now, right? Is making sure that I'm taking care of myself, understanding what self-care is to me and versus what people think self-care is and all of that stuff, right? So that's the stuff we talk about in the course. That's, that's my shtick. That's what we talk about, what I talk about, right? And the other thing is that the reason I ask you guys to do the stuff that I do, or that I even feel ballsy enough to say them out loud, is because I know it works, because I do all this shit myself, right? So we know that. Morning, Nancy. Thanks for getting me here. So, that's kind of where we've been at as a group, right? That's what we talk about, is how we're going to kind of muddle through all of this stuff, right? Okay. And I tell people all the time that, yes, the autism is a challenge, but it's not the autism itself. It's the people's response to the autism. It's people's response to me, right? And then bigger than that in my life in terms of challenges, I'm realizing now are trauma, which I never gave enough attention to. And I'm currently on a huge personal exploratory thing about my trauma, what I consider trauma, how to rethink and redefine trauma, that kind of thing, which may be an article coming soon your way. But anyway, that's the stuff that I think about and talk about, right? And here's the deal. My biggest challenge in this whole picture of things is my mental health, right? It's not the autism. It's the trauma as a result of no diagnosis and society's structure, right? It's the depression and the anxiety that I have, I don't know, do we want to say gained, grown, evolved into? I don't know, right? That I've developed. That's really the word. The depression and anxiety that I've developed due to that lack of diagnosis, misunderstanding, trauma, all of that stuff, right? And so my daily struggles, though they are related to autism, most of them, and my really, truly hard days are grounded and rooted in this depression and anxiety. And for me, right, I'd rather feel anxiety than depression. Depression is something that I think not only do I have a large case of it because of all of these traumas and all of that stuff, but I also, because I think that also biologically, I was genetically predisposed to it. I know that depression runs in my family. So it's like I got hit twice. So I feel like I didn't get like a normal case of depression. I got like this huge case of depression because I had a predisposition and then I had all this trauma loaded on top, right? Okay. So depression is my nemesis, right? Anxiety sometimes can energize me. There are versions of anxiety that motivate me. And so it doesn't feel like anytime it's around, it's always negative. It's not great. But there are times when I can harness that anxiety energy, or I can dissipate that anxiety energy. But the depression is a battle, man. Battle wounds for life from depression. And here's the thing that I have to be honest about. And I tell my clients, and I tell Antonio, I tell people that know me, right? But it is a massive truth that is painful to hear. And the truth is, right, that I finally shared publicly yesterday, and not just privately in sessions, right? The truth is that when you have depression or anxiety, when you have a mental health condition, there are going to be days when that mental health condition is the winner that day, right? Where it's so big you can't do anything, or it's so big that everything you've done isn't enough, right? Because that just happens. That's the cycle of the mental illness. It's the chemical reactions. It's all of the things, right? And I try to adjust that by doing self-care things. And I try to kind of manage it through not only that, but I also take medication, right? And I had to come to terms about 4 years ago with the fact that I needed medication and that I was probably going to be on it for the rest of my life. And that's not for my autism. It's for my depression, because it is paralyzing. It can be paralyzing, right? So I take medication daily. I do all of that self-care stuff that I preach. I swear I have morning routines, night routines. I do make sure I sleep. I make sure I eat right. I make sure I'm doing things like wearing comfortable clothes and, not wearing makeup if it's a day I don't feel like it, wearing it if I feel like I need it, doing all of the things I can to be my authentic self. And yet, and here's the painful truth, there are still days that depression wins, right? And there are still days that I feel like I've done everything for nothing, if that makes sense, right? And because that's the language, that's the voice of depression talking, right? That's how it sounds to us. And so yesterday was one of those days for me. Yesterday, for whatever reason, right? I woke up and I was just depressed and I didn't see it coming. Wasn't feeling poopy the day before. There wasn't any big incident that occurred that I would think that, right? My routine wasn't broken. All of that stuff was in checks and balances. Okay. All of it. And so I woke up depressed anyway, right? So I had to sit in it all day yesterday. And when I tell you I had to sit in it, I want to tell you that all of the things that come with depression happened. As in, dissociation happened for me all day. I felt like I had a little bit of paranoia, actually, that it was just me and everyone else was in a good mood. And also that, maybe everyone else wasn't in a good mood. And maybe that was my fault because I wasn't in a good mood. And all of the things that depression likes to say in my head, right? And so I had to carry it all day, right? And still try to, because yesterday was a vet day. So I had to carry it all through it. And it was a 12-hour vet day yesterday. And I woke up with it. So I carried it, when I tell you, until the moment I went to sleep last night. But here's the difference. And I want to tell you that today I didn't wake up feeling that way, or at least not as bad, right? I felt better than yesterday, today. So I was able to get out of bed and there was less of that. But, right, here's the deal. I really sat there all day going, right? Remember how last week I had that moment where I was criticized and I had to really rework that scenario of criticism, right? And what I find works for me, and this is really fucking bizarre, so hang on to your chair. What works for me is to pretend that I'm my own client. Is that crazy? Like, there is stuff and advice that I give to my clients so freely and easily. It's so clear to me when I'm looking at their picture. But when I look at my picture, it gets kind of foggy. And the way I clear it up is to pretend to be my own coach. Like, what would Becca, the coach and mentor, say to Becca who's feeling depressed right now? Right? What would I say? And so I kind of like, and I know you guys understand this. No one at my job probably would understand it, but I was doing my job. Like, on the front, I looked fully functional, right? Not that I was masking, but I was doing my job on the front, right? I was busy, I was attentive, all of those things. But in those other moments when I was doing things that were more monotonous, right? Or maybe filling prescriptions and counting pills, or, mopping or cleaning up something, right? Where, my brain didn't have to be that engaged. I was dissociating and I was thinking about, how can I get myself out of this funk? What would I say to myself? And so when I talk about these multi-processes, I don't know how to explain it in a neurotypical way. It's not that I'm not doing the thing that I'm doing 100%, because I am, right? It's that kind of like my brain splits, and the part of it that needs to be doing the things with my physical body does its thing. And then there's this little part that splits off and is just busy thinking about whatever the thing is that I'm thinking about. Right. And that's how I end up with these live streams, and I end up with these pieces and things like that. Right. And so that's what was going on yesterday. It was like a battle of depression all day. And then I had kind of a moment about it. I had lunch, and I had some extended time to sit and kind of be pensive on the inside. And so I wrote down some notes for myself. And so I'm going to read to you exactly what I wrote so that I can then explain it. So here's what I wrote. The truth is that no matter what I do about it, there are still days that depression arrives for what feels like no reason at all. Right. And that's how I started the day. And I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. Right. And then I sat there for this lunch time and I was like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I'm so blind right now. oh, we talked about this in decision making, all the different personal biases we can have, right? When we do that stuff. And I was full of this bias about what was going on in front of me. I'm going, I feel depressed for no reason at all. And then when I stepped back and I looked at my life as I would if I were a client of mine, I said, you fucking moron. What do you mean you're depressed and you don't know why? Okay. Here's the thing, and I talk to you guys about it all the time. When we are going through a transition, when we are feeling exhausted or having a lot of things to do, right? And a lot of things that are important and that we can't let them slip by, right? They have to be done, all of these things, right? When we're reorganizing our life around our priorities, right? And we're going through that transition, you guys, we need extra self-care, right? Not just the usual stuff that we do, but we need some extra self-care, and we need some extra, and here's where I got myself, some extra kindness to ourselves, right? If I had a client who is going through a transition like I'm going through right now, right? Having purchased with Antonio a business and then gone back to work for the first time in 10 years for somebody else, and to have some of my time of my week not belong to me, right? And that's a big fucking transition, you guys. And I haven't treated myself with extra kindness. I've just kind of been doing it because for the most part, and here's where I really tripped. For the most part, it's been fun, right? So for the most part, it's been enjoyable. And because it's been enjoyable, I haven't been doing the extra self-care stuff, and I haven't been being extra attentive to certain things that I know I need to be, because it wasn't painful. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it wasn't uncomfortable necessarily all the time until yesterday, right? And what yesterday is my body and my brain going, hello, you remember how we got to burnout? Remember all the times we got to shut down? This is how we got there, right? You know, this feeling that you're feeling right now, like and these are the things that I begin to say to myself. So if you talk to yourself a lot the way that I do, and everybody talks to themselves, on days when my mental health isn't well, the conversation changes. The words that I use with myself change, right? And so I was not paying attention to those things. And all of a sudden yesterday, and maybe slightly the day before, there was that feeling of, I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to, whatever, right? And that detachment is the way that my brain and body goes, I can't care anymore, right? I need to not care, whatever, because I have to take care of this, right? And so, here I am at lunch at the vet's office saying, sit down, Becca, for a second. Let me talk to you. And that's what I felt like I did to myself, right? You are going through this monster transition. Not only has it changed all of this fucking stuff, right? But at home, I'm not seeing Antonio as much. Our routines with the animals have changed. Our sleep routine has had to change a little bit. Little things, right? Nothing earth-shattering, but many, many, many little things. And you know how I talk to you guys about how it doesn't matter what size step you take, just take a step, right? All the little steps will add up. Well, all of those little things added up. And yesterday I woke up feeling depleted and depressed, and like I stopped mattering in my life, and I don't matter, and who cares what I do, and nobody cares. And that is the language of depression. That is the voice of depression. And I said, oh fuck, I'm in for it right now. And so I struggle bus big time through the morning, because you know my brain isn't fully awake. So I couldn't have a meeting with myself until my brain was fully awake. And when I did, I realized that there was all of this shit going on. Not only that, but then there was other stuff that I wanted. I was like, this is the list I wrote as I was sitting in the meeting with myself, right? The transition. I have new responsibilities with my old responsibilities. So think about that for a second, right? I didn't take this new job and quit something else, right? I didn't make an opening for this job necessarily, right? I just kind of slowed down what I'm doing with advocacy and cut a whole bunch of that off, but I didn't quit anything, right? And so that means that the responsibilities of the autism work are now added to this plate of this new responsibilities, right? And they are living there together. So I'm needing to new routines, and I'm needing to re-routinize some of this stuff because for me, right, my plate is now kind of fullish with responsibilities. I've got the old ones and I love them and the ones I'm keeping, but I now have a new whole section of new ones rather, that I haven't really paid attention to how hard I've had to work to get through all of them, right? It's not like I ditched my old responsibilities and picked up new ones. And I tell you guys, sometimes we have to do that, right? Sometimes we need to get rid of the old stuff so we have space for the new stuff, right? And so I didn't have to do that this go around, right? I didn't want to ditch the autism stuff completely. I still love parts of it that I do. And so I have them both together on a plate, right? So that was duh. Okay. I hope you're having dumb moments with me like, Beck, why didn't you think of this sooner, right? I hope it's processing for you the way that I'm processing it, right? And then we're going to talk about navigating trauma, right? Because returning to work for me is full of trauma triggers, you guys. Such a fucking idiot, right? I mean, returning to work for somebody else is the place where almost all of my adult trauma has existed. I can't believe I'm going to cry about this. It's ridiculous. I am not going to cry about this. Okay. So, going through all of the new employee pitfalls, right? Making mistakes, opening for the first time and not setting off the alarm, worrying about when and how you're going to eat lunch, when or how you're going to get along with people, when or how you're going to make it through the day, right? All of that is, I don't know, I started working when I was 16 and I'm now 45. So it's almost 30 years of trauma that just going back to work triggers. Like, it's not that I go back to work and anybody's doing anything in particular there to trigger me. It's not that. It's the CPTSD, right? And it's just, that is the environment from which my trauma stems. And so just that return and giving my time to somebody else, and in a sense, giving my spoons to somebody else, is a really big risk of that trauma trap, right? Duh, I've just been stepping on trauma triggers for the last month, you guys, easily, right? And just, okay, I'm doing it different this time. I'm a different me this time. Yes, all of those things, but they're still trauma triggers, right? Okay, so didn't even like bother to give myself that, right? What else? And trying to create balance, right? So here, that was the next part. That's the part I'm in now. The phase of the transition that I'm in now is creating that balance between time for me personally, time for my autism stuff, and time where I'm at a job where I'm making money and you know, my time is someone else's, right? And that means I have to rebalance the stuff in my life, right? And 2 seconds later, I looked at my wrist, and you guys know my F words are freaking on there. Fun and flavor. And you know that I haven't done anything fun for the last month. And I haven't done anything flavorful or risky or anything for the last month except returning to work, right? And so I haven't been doing my F words. None of that either, right? And so I need to recreate. Oh, Stevie must have cursed because they hit her comment. I'm showing it. Yes. Excuse me. And so I'm in this loop, right? And now I'm in this place where, okay, you know, I need to take the summer off of the seminars. I just need to lighten that for the summer until I get, you know, regular days that I'm at the vet's office, right? Because we're all still trying to figure out how our days are going to work together and all of those things. I've also been thinking about adding a 4th day to the vet's office, because I think while I have the energy and while I'm enjoying it, I might want to do a 4th day, right? And so I've been thinking about all of those things, and that is the plate, right? We talk about creating this balance, and I'm always talking to you guys about it. We want our lives to be like this, and enough of this thing, right? And what I'm heading towards, if you're paying attention, at least in my cycles and patterns, is another downward loop from this job is going to cycle me into it if I don't figure my way through this a different way than I've done it before, right? I'm just going to cycle. So there has to be a different way to do it. And that's the challenge to me. So it's not in the job in and of itself, and it's not in the autism work, and it's not in creating fun and flavor, right? The challenge is in doing all 3. Okay. The challenge is making sure that all of that stuff, the challenge is not letting this new job now become number one because I'm doing it for somebody else, and not to go into that people pleasing mode. That job has to be something I'm doing for me, and that can't change. Right. And if I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day because I'm having a bad day. It doesn't have to do with the job, and it doesn't have to do with this. It means I have depression. I'm going to have it for the rest of my life. And there are some days that it's going to be really, really bad, and there's nothing I can do about it. But what I can do is when I have a day like that, take it as a red flag and say, how do I get myself out of it? What am I doing that caused this rift? And it really took this day of shit to have this recognition that there was all this other stuff on my plate that I wasn't even acknowledging, right? Like not even acknowledging, which means that self-kindness went out the window, right? It means that I used those spoons for something else, and I forgot to use my self-kindness spoons for self-kindness in a time when I should have extra of those. And so I have done this thing, but brilliance, right? So these are the moments. You guys all ask me all the time, multiple times, how do you do this, Beck? But how do you do that? Reprogram your brain. How do you make that happen? How, right? What do I do? I'm showing you, because I tell you, you will make mistakes, and I tell you, you will fall, and that will be the truth for the rest of your life. And that it's all about your resilience and all about getting up from those falls. And so yesterday I had a fall, and what I need to do today is get back up and figure out what got me there, right? And unpack this stuff that I started to think about yesterday. That's how you do it. That's it. There is no secret. It's work, it's time, and it's effort in here that no one else is going to see, right? Because no one else is going to walk you through what I just walked you through. That doesn't happen. And you're not going to do that with somebody else, right? And so that's the whole thing about it, right? Is that we can't avoid the falls. We can't avoid the bad days. We can't, they will come. They just come, right? And it's all about the way we choose to respond to those bad days and how we choose to get up from those bad days, because there is no control or power in any other part of the whole process. Just in how we choose to respond and how we choose to get up. That's where your power lies, right? And so that's really and very genuinely what I've been thinking about for the last 48 hours, because my life needs to get better. I don't want to feel like I felt yesterday more than one day or 2 days a month. I do a lot of stuff to avoid that, because I know that thinking pattern becomes a self-harm thinking pattern for me, and I don't want to go there anymore. Right? I don't want to start thinking that I don't have a reason to exist on this planet. I don't want to get there. I don't like how that feels. And so that is the work. That's how you catch yourself. That's how you reprogram your thoughts. That's how you do it differently. And the hope is that if there is a next time, right, where I'm needing to go through this similar kind of employment transition, that the next time I remember to be kind, that there's trauma triggers, that there's new and old responsibilities, that it is a transition, right? And to save over those extra self-kindness spoons. That's the hope, like to just do it better next time, right? And to get through it better next time by making different choices. And that's what I come here to teach you. That's what I want you guys to take away from today. That's what today's live stream means to me, right? Is that I am in no way perfect. I am as imperfect as everybody else. I just choose to work a little bit harder on being better than most people. And that's what you guys are choosing to do. And that's what I want us to do, because I know our lives can be better. I know I talked for a very long time, but I do want to catch up on chat before I say adios. So let me do that. Let's see. Okay. Oh, see, I'm on the edge of my chair listening. I just went through this myself. Oh, I'm so glad it resonated. Yay. Burnett says, now I'm convinced I experience depression more frequently than I realized. Absolutely, right? When you are in a depressive state, there is language that you use with yourself. And if you are in that depressive state, often that language becomes habit, and it's just the way that you talk to yourself. And so we begin to just cope and live with the depression rather than trying to alleviate ourselves of some of that weight. So Burnett, I hope you will pay more attention to it, right? Maybe there are triggers that you can find for yourself and how to kind of process it differently. Yes, Bill, that's it. Exactly. It does all add up to shell shock, kind of, when you go. So like, it's like purposefully stepping back into a place where, trauma has occurred, right? And I have to, right? It's not like I can't, ever do that again. I have to do it. And especially in this time of my life, I have to do it, right? In this financial time in my life, I have to do it. Right. And so, yes, it's like shell shock. It is PTSD to go back to. And it wasn't just one work environment that we're talking about. We're talking about upwards of 15 work environments where I had trauma. That's it, just trauma. And so, yes, it's shell shock feeling. Absolutely. Let's see. CV says, I think I deny a lot or gaslight myself that I'm not feeling what I'm feeling. Ooh, CV, that is a big one to realize. That's major, right? Because a lot of us do that to ourselves, right? It's a way of avoiding our feelings, right? But here's the truth about feelings. They go away, they change, they move on, they flow and ebb, right? And if we don't allow ourselves to feel that feeling, we don't recognize that something needs to be changed or something's not right. And we avoid that feeling, thereby extending our discomfort by a whole lot more, right? And so if we can catch ourselves in moments where we gaslight ourselves or deny ourselves feelings, and just let ourselves fucking feel that way, right? For a minute, it'll pass. We'll process through and it will do its job. Whatever the feeling is coming from will do its job. If we don't allow that to happen, really we're not hearing our feelings, and then any signals that are coming from internal are being crisscrossed, ignored, right? That's what's happening. And so it's a habit. Again, another one of those self-sabotage but survival habits that we have. Let's see. I'm about to go through a big transition. It's a good thing, but it will really throw me. I am so excited, Nancy, that you are going through a transition. I do not know what transition you are going through, but I wish you the very best of luck. And I hope that this is an example to you of how to kind of, through the transition, make sure that you're taking care of yourself, right? And making sure that you're doing those things, right? So besides creating the balance, the other thing that I'm really needing to do, wait, I wrote it down. I had one other thing that I wrote. Oh, right. The other thing that I'm really trying to do in an effort to sort of alleviate this situation is to remember to stay in motion, to not give in to the depression calling me to the couch to just lay still and not care. Right. I'm making an effort to do the dishes, keep up with the laundry, and stay in motion in the most basic way so as to ward off the inertia. Because if the inertia comes, we're well on our way to that low dip. And I really don't want to go there. I want to figure out how to get through this without that happening. And so I'm trying. So that's the other thing. Let's see. Nancy says she gaslights herself too, and it's due to a lifetime of being invalidated and gaslighted by others. Yes, right? That's the trauma, right? We carry, God, it's so heavy. We carry so much trauma. It's so fucking heavy. How do we get rid of it? And that's the journey right now. How do I get rid of this? How do I get rid of it, right? And so, yeah, it's a lifetime of trauma that we have to unpackage, which is crazy. Bernard says, I recently experienced a spell of depression from dramatic transitions, and I went back on my depression medication a month ago. See, a lot of us try. We try, we figure out how to feel better, and then we'll even try to go without medication, which I too have tried. But I have to really know that some of it is just quite simply biological and chemical, and I need the medications just at that very base level because it protects me from going somewhere suicidal, and I need that protection, right? And so I'm glad to hear that you decided to try your medication again, and you might be a lifer like me, who knows, and we just sort of have to be realistic with ourselves and honest with ourselves and say, yeah, I'm a lifer, man. Bernard said, didn't realize I was depressed until well into it, right? Because there are so many signs, but we miss so many of them because depression's like, depression's like, come on, hang out with me. Don't I sound like an easier way to go? All of those things that depression does, right? It's crazy. CV says, I wonder how much our patterning brains kick us in the ass and contribute to CPTSD. 100%, right? Because our brains don't know how to do anything else but pick up patterns. And we see the patterns. And so now that my brain has seen all of these patterns, I hear workplace or go to work or employment, right? And my brain is like triggered into trauma, right? Because I couldn't figure out how to do any of those things. And I I've only had negative experiences. I've only had trauma really in those environments. And so, yeah. Let's see. Nancy said, I've been denying being depressed. Still am really. I'm about to move and go back to work after a year. Okay. So, Nancy, look, this might be your way out of the depression, right? You might be feeling depressed even because you've not been, right? Because you're not living where you want to live and because you're not doing what you want to be doing with your spoons. So, let's not look at it as an right? Because this wasn't an I love that I've returned to this job, right? But it doesn't take away those triggers. And so what we need to do is be aware, right? And if we're feeling depressed, best to do something about it now before we move, right? Let's start getting into those self-kindness pieces. But I remember when we first met, Nancy, you were really thinking about moving. So that means that in the time since I've known you, you've actually been taking lots of little steps and getting where you want to go. So don't forget to celebrate those, please, because I know that's work, right? Let's see, what else? I wonder if this contributes to challenges and transitioning through the day, trauma memories attached to transitions and brain patterns. Listen, Stevie, you could be onto something, right? We don't know. That's the whole idea, right? Right now, when we look at autism in adulthood, we don't know. We do not know. Nobody's researching, not that many people are asking us, and so we're kind of off on our own. And this could be, maybe this is a key for you. If it's really resonating with you, maybe it's time to start looking at where those trauma memories are lying throughout your day, right? And see if we can't mess that around a little bit, right? Yes, this is a good thing, Nancy, right? It is. You're not happy where you're living. So the depression may very well be coming from that, right? And so it may very well lift simply by changing your environment, right? And so we need to be paying attention. We need to make sure that we look at things squarely and logically, not with our own personal bias. Like, I know this is going to be a lot of work. Work doesn't mean bad. Work can be good. We can work at hard things. I want to say this so badly. We can do hard things. We can do difficult things. We are capable of it. They don't have to be uh-ohs. What we need is to do them in our own way, in our very own personalized to our autism way. And this is a big, huge transition, but it's going to be such a good one for you, right? When you're not happy with where you're living, it can color every single part of your day. And so this is a good thing. This is a great thing. This is probably the biggest step you've ever taken in your life. And it's a big, huge one that you're doing for you, which is amazeballs, right? So keep at it. Don't take my little message here about depression as a reason to not do it. Just know that you're someone with depression. And that's what I need to remember too. I'm someone with depression. I'm not immune to it. It's going to have its days. And knowing that truth and being honest about it is super duper important. But this process that I went through, so much more important for me, right? I hope you guys learned from it. But for me, this was like a major aha moment. This was like, wow, you preach all of this stuff and you forgot to look at this situation for all of those pitfalls, for all the traps, right? And I see them now and I acknowledge them now, which is not something that I've done always. And that acknowledgement will help me through this. I will process through this different than I've ever processed through any other employment situation. I know that for fact. And I know that I will do better at it than ever. But there are going to be shit days. And if we're not honest about the shit days and how to get through the shit days, then I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, right? I mean, that's why I'm here, is to give you that stuff. So yesterday was a shit day, and I'm glad to have a space where I can share it and have it have some positive from it, have it have something productive come from it, which is that I've gotten myself kind of kicked out of it a little bit. But I've also figured out that I just got to be nicer to myself. Also, and I have to remember this is a transition and remind myself of all the things I remind you, because it doesn't change for me. Still autistic, still depressed. I'm still somebody with anxiety, right? So I hope you guys found today helpful. It was a little longer than I usually do live stream for, but it was a really big topic and something I wanted to really step-by-step unpack for you guys. And also the reason I figured that I might forget at the end to remind you that the Self-Defined Living course is starting again in September, and you can sign up for the wait list or the scholarship list or both. that the seminars are all up, all the recordings for purchase, and that we will be taking a break for July and August. And that the newsletter is late but coming, I promise. I'm working on it. And I think those are all my announcements that I had to try to remember, you guys. Because it hasn't gone out just yet, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you'll still get the July one if you sign up today. So head over to my website to check out all of that stuff, beccalory.com, Lory. I will be back here next Wednesday for the next Being Becca Live at 11 a.m. And then, of course, I'll be here on Sunday for Growing Gratitude. If you haven't caught Growing Gratitude yet, come check it out. Watch some of the past recordings. All it is a gratitude practice that I do so that very publicly I talk about the things I have to be grateful for in my life, no matter how shitty my week was, right? Because that's what I want to teach you. And so I'm holding myself accountable to growing the gratitude in my life. So you can catch that on Sundays. We're now at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 2 hours later than it used to be. So if you missed last week because you didn't know what time it was happening, it is now Sundays at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then Being Becca Live is Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Until then, you guys, I will see you out and about in the interwebs. And of course, if you'd like to comment wherever you're seeing this video, I love your comments. I uber love your thumbs up. And I especially appreciate your shares and kind of letting me know what's going on. If there's something that you need resources on, or you want to talk to me about this personally, or you have a question, please feel free to email me at info@beccalory.com. If I don't answer fast, I promise I will answer. It just takes me a bit. I only have so many spoons. Anyway, you guys, I will see you out and about out there in the world. And of course, I hope to be seeing you on Sunday for Growing Gratitude. Until then, you guys, have an amazing rest of your day. Don't forget to seek joy, share joy, create joy, all the joys. And I'll see you soon. Have a good one, you guys. Bye.